you have so much more ability to really just sow those seeds in people in life insurance that I ever could have imagined when I was selling solar. So you really get to knock it out of the park where people get to change their entire life financially, but also get to be surrounded by people who have the time and the drive to actually achieve all of those other goals outside as well.
So let's get it started, dude. What do you want to talk about?
I think there's a lot to talk about. I think a couple things we should probably go over is like what it looks like for people who are in solar and move into life insurance. Why so many people from solar are moving to life insurance.
Mhm.
A lot of like office culture stuff we can talk about.
Mhm.
We can do a little deep dive on like the sales process here, why it rocks, what we got here, the people we got here.
Yeah. Let's start with this. Let's start with your transition from solar and what got you into solar, and then talk about why you're selling life insurance now versus selling solar.
Sure. So, quick background. I was going to college for electrical engineering. Didn't really want to go to school, but my parents were like, "Hey, if we're gonna pay for your college, you're gonna be an engineer." So, engineer, doctor, lawyer, like something like that. So I was like, "All right, we'll go do electrical engineering." I thought I wanted to do roller coasters at the time.
Build roller coasters.
Yes, yeah, I was like, I'm gonna go work at Universal. I was on a big like Harry Potter world kick my senior year of high school. Realized pretty quickly that I don't want to be an engineer. I like talking to people a lot more, and I have a lot of love for the people that I was going to school with, but the engineers in my class and were just a different breed of person, and it was kind of cut and dry to me that I needed to find something where I could be more social. COVID happens. I'm really not doing anything. I was an out-of-state kid, so most of my friends are back home for COVID, and I was sitting in my house doing nothing in Lincoln, Nebraska. And my buddy from church, one of my like honestly mentors in church life and a guy that I really look up to, calls me up completely out of the blue, and he's like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Absolutely nothing." He's like, "Cool. Get in your car tomorrow, drive to Denver. I am doing this sales thing." Just tells me how much money he's making.
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I got nothing better to do."
Was he making good money?
He was making really good money. So I get in my car, drive all the way up to Denver literally the next day. He's got nothing there for me, so I'm literally sleeping on. I get up there, it says I took a wake-up call. I'm like, "Okay, yeah, they're making so much money. They're like going to nice dinners. They got to be living lavish." And I get there.
They're in a penthouse in Denver, Colorado. You show up and you're on a
Well, he takes me to this girl who's selling solar. Like I drive up there and they're like doing a party that night. And he takes me to this girl's penthouse apartment. And I'm like, "Oh, these guys are balling. Like, this is sick." And we go home to his place. And he doesn't have a couch. He doesn't have
a room.
yeah, dude. And I'm literally like sleeping on the floor of a hardwood floor, no pillow. My blanket's an old moving blanket. He had to move up there.
That's
And my car gets towed out of their park.
like the ones that you put around like the truck when it's moving,
Yeah.
or like all the furniture and shit.
Yeah. I stopped from scratching.
Huh.
But honestly, like get up there, start doing solar. I was only supposed to be up there for 3 weeks at the time because that was when classes were supposed to go back in person. And I had in my first week of just knocking doors, I had sold enough and made enough money that it was like unbelievable to me at that point. So I called my parents and I'm like, "I'm dropping out of college. I found my next career choice." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I go back to
It's only
school.
been like 2 weeks, you know.
It's been like a week at this point.
A week.
And I'm knocking doors in Colorado. They're like, "What are you doing, dude?" They didn't knock doors or like have any experience doing that. So it's pretty foreign to them. But do really well my first couple of weeks, fall in love with solar, and I went on like a 4-year journey of bouncing in and out of like sales leadership roles, doing every single job that's in solar between setting, closing, managing teams, moving to, I think I was in like 6 or 8 different markets, good years, bad years, do it all, and then wind up in Minnesota this last summer. Best summer I've ever had in solar. Put up the team that I was on was honestly like probably competes for historically like one of the better solar teams that's ever been nationally. Still killing it. They're doing really well.
How much volume are you talking?
I closed in, I think it was like 11 weeks, 124 deals closed, I think. And I think that we installed somewhere between like 80 and 100 of those.
Wow.
And
That's
then,
a lot of houses with solar on them.
yeah.
So what's like an average though? Like an average closer, just like for perspective for me? or like for people listening?
Um,
Like, what would your average closer close in the summer?
dude, it really depends. There's so much variance in
30,
solar.
40.
I did 27 my first full summer closing.
Yeah, so that's a shit ton of deals.
Mm.
27 that were installed or just 27 closed?
I think I installed like 20 of them.
Got you. That's a lot of deals, man.
Yeah, great summer.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you made bank.
We have
Yeah.
well,
Had fun.
yeah,
Right.
had a lot of fun.
So what made you want to transition to life insurance? Well, obviously you know Logan, but what made you, other than just being friends with him, because you got him into solar
Mhm.
from Southwestern selling books for a summer, and then he came here, sold life insurance, and then you went to Minnesota, had like historic record-breaking summer doing that. And then what made you want to, like, I guess, what are the pros and cons of solar and what are the pros and cons of what we're doing right now?
Mhm. Yeah, story-wise, like, just timeline-wise, Logan and I moved to Florida together at, like, a really low point in our solar career, and, it's kinda funny because a low point in Logan's solar career was he was still a top producer in solar, like, he was kicking my butt, like, he's a stud, he's gonna be good at whatever he does,
Mhm.
but we're just not happy with where we're at, and we're working out one day, and Logan just kinda tells me, he's like, "Dude, Mark Rao," and he'd been talking about Mark Rao for a really long time, he's like, "He called me, I'm going up to Nashville to check out this life insurance thing, but I'm gonna do it." And he just starts talking about how cool it is. And he's like, "We're not knocking doors. The hours are way better. The work-life balance is way better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make more money. I'm gonna be working like with cool people that I like to be around." And I'm like, "Cool. Well, I'm in too." He's like, "No, you can't come." I wouldn't say it was an argument, but we're in the gym and I was like pissed off at him. He's like, "I'm going to do this really cool thing, and like you can't go do it." Uh, so he gets up here to come do it, and I just probably twice, 2, 3 times a week, just getting on the phone with him and shooting the shit for 30, 45 minutes, an hour. And he just keeps telling me how sick it is and like how much he loves his life.
Hmm.
And I keep being like, what are we like, what are we talking about? I'm coming to do that too. He's like, no, you gotta wait.
What were the like, what months was he talking about this? Is like December, November, December, January?
Yeah.
Before you went to Minnesota?
Mhm.
So were you debating doing going out for another summer, or was it like this or that? Like,
So I didn't know what I was going to do until like February. And in February, I was like, I'm just waiting on Logan to give me the green light so I can move to Nashville.
gotcha.
And then the solar team that I'm gonna go work with kind of just falls into my lap, and it's almost something that's like too good to be true.
Mm.
And then in probably around March, Logan's like, "Okay, like now you can come up here to sell life insurance." And I'm like, "Well, dog, I've been waiting so long and I've like committed to the solar thing. It's going to be great and I have to go do it." But then throughout the entire summer, I mean, Jackson and Logan come up here, two of my best friends. They're doing well. Logan's still killing it. You guys are going
Yeah.
on your cruise. He's telling me how much he loves it.
You're like wrapping up your summer, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I literally left Minnesota, like closed my last deal Friday, pack my stuff up Friday night, and then Saturday, close my last deal Saturday, pack my stuff up Saturday, Sunday, get in the car, drove straight from Minnesota to here.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And
And you showed up. That's so funny.
Yeah, it was like no downtime at all.
Huh. Yeah. And then you started like a month later, 2 months later, 2 months probably.
Yeah, moved here a month later, and I wanted to take some time to kind of unwind after that.
Acclimate to Nashville too.
Mhm.
Yeah, and unwind from a summer because that was like what, 4 months?
I think I did like close to 3. I don't think it was a full 4.
Yeah. It's a shit ton of houses in 3 months.
It was a lot of houses in 3 months.
Yeah, dude, I bet the freaking sun was working overtime out there in Minnesota that summer, dude.
Yeah,
Probably still is. Holy shit. So what was like so that's like the storyline and stuff. And then how's everything been so far since you've been here?
honestly, like exactly what I was looking for and better. With solar, I mean, like we kind of talked about it, I did really well, would have kept doing really well.
Mhm.
But the rough part about it is hours wise, it's like I'm working close to twice the amount of hours we're working here. I was in probably 6 markets in 3 years. It's a very like you get it while it's good, and then you kind of like flee to the next place, and then get it while it's good there, and try and just keep riding that high.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great when you're in it. But for me, I had been doing it for so long, and after hitting my summer in Minnesota, I was kind of like, okay, I've like conquered this. And I was never a career for me. It was always somewhere where I wanted to make enough money to where I could get out, invest in like some bigger things that could make me money passively, and then find my career.
Mm-hmm.
And with life insurance, it's something where, and it was like very obvious to me when I came here, this is something that I'll be in for 10, 15, 20, 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
where the work-life balance that we have here is awesome. I mean, I have an entire life outside of work. We're in solar, like 24/7. I'm always working. A client can call me and you got to get on the phone. I could have to go take an appointment at any time. It's like
You're right.
you really, like, you have time freedom because you're not working a W-2 job, but it really just means you're working a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And here I can come here and work less hours, be in an office with my friends where we're just shooting the shit the entire day and like hanging out, still make comparable money and eventually a ton more money than I ever would have thought was possible in solar, and be around a group of people where here, I mean, it's kind of it's not night and day, but the quality of people that we have, the average person that we have working here versus the average person that I felt like I was surrounding myself with in solar, the values that I have just align a lot better here. So
Yeah, and getting a chance to, like, actually, like you were saying, plant your feet somewhere instead of just going from boom, 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 boom. You don't really feel like there's, like a whole lot of consistency, I feel like, at least it sounds like to me. What about what about the leadership, though? Like, you've always wanted to be in leadership, and not everybody that sells solar wants to be in leadership. I'm sure not everybody that's in life insurance, well, I know not everybody that's in life insurance or sales wants to be in leadership. What are those 2, like, how are those 2 pathways different for people? Like, a leadership or salesperson in solar versus, like, in life insurance that you've noticed the difference?
so I think it comes down to what you can provide to the person that you're recruiting in. Because either way, whether it's life insurance, whether it's solar, like no one's just going to hand you, here's people that are going to come work for you and they're going to grind. Like you're recruiting your warm market and then working from there as well. And in solar, and I'm not an anomaly here, but I probably recruited 30 people to solar.
Mhm,
One of them is still successful in solar.
mhm.
Um, I know Spencer, who is going to start working with us here pretty soon. Same story. I think he's got 27 people that he's recruited to solar. 0 of them are still in solar. You got to be a special type of person. Like the people that make it in solar, I have a ton of respect for. They're
They're
dogs.
beasts. Yeah,
Dogs.
yeah.
Really tough to do. So the average person, and not even the average person, but the person that just like isn't willing to give their entire 110% of their being to solar, like is gonna get chewed up and spit out.
Mhm.
Whereas here, like I think I could bring a trained monkey into a life insurance job, and they could make 6 figures in a year with the system we have,
Yeah,
and like love their
a
life.
monkey with a voice recording and AI.
Yeah, exactly. So
Buy these leads, say that script. Yeah,
and here, I mean, so with that, like you just, I'm so confident to bring anyone into the industry or the office because they can be, I know
you
that,
feel a lot more comfortable bringing in people that you're like, is that guy gonna make it in solar? Maybe, maybe not. I guess we'll see, but more comfortable bringing in that guy. Or
Mhm.
like, it doesn't, not everybody has to be as dynamic as you know?
And that, and a really big thing too is when like going after studs from solar. I mean, we have Royal come in who is a killer at solar. The one, like 2 companies before when I was working in solar, was the #1 producer, consistently just putting up numbers after numbers. Comes here in his first week is having the best first week that we've ever had, is
Yeah.
continuously putting up those numbers. And like his first true month working here will hit $40,000 worth of insurance.
Mhm.
So it's great because the average, the above average, all like the medium person can come here and be super successful, love their life, have a great work-life balance, and make money that they wouldn't be able to make anywhere else.
Mhm.
And then you get really excited to bring in the killer who's designed or developed in other industries,
Right.
show them something here where Royal looks at me with a smile every single day and he's like, this is 10 out of 10 times way better than selling anything door to door.
Mhm.
And he's making buku money doing that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really special, like, getting a perspective of cold and then coming to something that's warm, or, like, going from out in the field and then coming with something that you're buying leads, you know? It's like, I'm sure that transition even for you too is like, "Whoa, that's cool."
Mhm.
You know what I'm talking about, and
Yeah.
you're into it?
Yeah,
Huh.
where you get someone who picks up the phone and I'm like, "Yeah, it's Tyler, life insurance guy." And he's like, "Oh, I need that."
Yeah, yeah,
Like solar,
yeah.
I like knock on the door or like open the door. "What do you want?" I'm like, "Hey, it's Tyler. I do solar out here." They're like, "Get the fuck off of my doorstep right now." It's like, "Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome."
yeah.
I think another thing too, just to speak with the leadership thing, I'm sure you can relate with this, is when you bring someone in, and I think it's very imperative that if you're going to want to change someone's life, bring them into an opportunity and make them successful at that, you've got to be willing to put in the work and honestly like have the love for the people you're bringing in
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that while the financial thing is here and it's great, that in all of their goals, all encompassing like their faith goals, their life goals, do they want to read more books? Do they want to hit the gym more often? Can I provide a life to someone where like I can be like, hey, Johnny, you can come here, make great money, but also become the version of Johnny that you've always dreamed of becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the work-life balance, the culture, the honestly being in an office and working together, you have so much more ability to really just sow those seeds in people
Yeah.
in life insurance that I ever could have imagined when I was selling solar.
Mm-hmm.
So you really get to knock it out of the park where people get to change their entire life financially, but also get to be surrounded by people,
Yeah.
have the time and the drive to actually achieve all of those other goals outside of it
Yeah.
as well. And that's, I think, what make people long-term successful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with solar, I could go make a ton of money, but eventually, like, I wasn't fulfilled, so I had to get out of it, and like, it led me here. And this is something where you can continuously be fulfilled, fill all of your buckets day after.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Because I've got two thoughts on that. It's like, I guess like we could both speak on this, but like being the lone wolf is really fun out there all day, you versus you. You've got your competitor that you're thinking of and like your goals that you're trying to hit that week when you're on the doors. And then you've got the camaraderies, like usually like the morning meeting. And then like the camaraderie of like the Sunday meetings and like morning meetings and the coaching and stuff. But when you're in an office, like when I thought of like working in an office, I don't know why, but it didn't really scare me, I guess. Like some people are like, "Oh, office, desk, chair, phone. Ooh, it's not gonna be the same person to person interaction." And that's true. Like there is something special about sitting down in someone's home and learning the skill of closing a deal there, like handling objections like mano a mano and the confidence you get from that. But to the point of molding yourself with the people around you is like your weaknesses are going to show in an office environment eventually and surrounding yourself with those people eventually. And then you can start working on them. Like I know for myself too, especially like it's really hard to, especially for not that perfect archetype beast person that any industry they go into, they're going to kick ass, but maybe the guy that needs a little bit more poking with a stick or a little bit more accountability. Like, I guess it's just really hard to not work when everyone around you is working. Like on top of the coaching and like all that stuff that's immediate right here, mute your phone. Hey, what's your question? If you're not on a call already. But then like all the other things that come with that too. And the outside of work stuff, when you've actually planted your feet somewhere. Because I never knew how important a community was. I feel like I had a good idea that it was important. And I read this book right before I started working here called Build the Life You Want. And he talks about one of the things he talks about is obviously building a community of friends. And most people that are really successful or really happy, like find a lot of fulfillment in life, have like a really tight knit group of friends, you know, and are in a place for a really long time. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, I guess like my family could be a good example. I'm sure there's better examples out there, but it's like they go to the same church. They meet with the same clients, they have the same get-togethers with friends. Like Carlini's come over every night at Sunday on Sunday, like when I was a kid, and building a community in one place versus moving.
Mhm.
So it's like a couple of things. Like eventually you're going to show your true colors. Like you can't really sneak around in an office.
Right.
You can't get away with not working in an office. And then, which is a good thing, but kind of scary for people coming from that lone wolf job where they're like, I don't know if I want to be in an office. And maybe one day they can work from home or whatever they want to do once they learn the skills. But I think there's something really powerful in getting everybody to an office. I guess like what I'm getting at is like in remote closing or in life insurance, there's a lot of remote opportunities out there. So if you could speak to that a little bit, on what your idea of or your thoughts on remote versus everybody being in like a physical location together.
And I was one of those people. I mean, my biggest objection to Logan before coming here was I was like, dog, like my life goal is to never work in a cubicle office. Like, I don't want to do that. It's just something I like wasn't willing to do before. I just was like, shut up, go do it. And I think door to door is something incredible. I'll have my kids do it. I won't force them, but I'm gonna be great. I'm gonna be like, hey, if you want to be a beast, go do this. I'm sure you probably
Oh
relate to
yeah,
that.
I think it's great. Yeah.
I think that people from solar, it's very evident. I think everyone who's trying to build a team, trying to recruit, everyone who's done that already in life insurance knows and that is talking about how the people that we're about to funnel from solar is going to be an insane amount of people. I mean, there's already teams that are coming over by the hundreds into life insurance. So I think it transfers very well. Learning those skills, going out and being the lone wolf, hitting all those goals, developing yourself into the type of guy that like can get up on his own accord, open his eyes, go out, find his prey, kill it, and eat it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a special type of dude, and they're going to be super successful here because when you come in with that mentality, and then you get plugged into the in-person office where you're surrounding yourself all day, every day with the people who have already who have developed those skills as well. And you get to pick their brains, be around them, build from their skills, figure out what you don't like in their skills. The transition from like developing yourself there. I don't want to say it's the minor leagues because it's definitely not
Yeah.
door to door is crazy, but it's like almost like a farm system where once you've already made yourself into that type of killer, it's going to transfer so well when you get here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That being said, I mean, with like kind of what I was going back to where you can fill all the buckets of the people that you're trying to recruit and lead when you're surrounded by community in person, you get the opportunity to if let's just say I have a bad call, I don't like how the call went, I get to stand up and go shoot the shit with my best friends for like 5 minutes, and it's like way easier to get my headspace back in. If I have a good call, I have buddies like massaging my shoulders as I'm wrapping up the call and closing a big one, or
Rubbing your
high fives. Give me a deep tissue massage.
You got Trace over there spoon feeding you a watermelon.
And
Hell yeah.
I mean, there is so much opportunity for this to be virtual too. Like since moving to Nashville in October, I've not been in Nashville for 14 straight days. I've done a ton of traveling and still managed to manage my business and put up, I mean, I'm 55th in FFL as a first year.
Nice.
While moving around, and not to toot my own horn, just to speak to the fact of like if you're the type of guy who likes to do that and live that lifestyle, I mean it's so easy to do here.
Yeah.
But when you get to be surrounded by community, when I get to see Austin Logan's smiling face at church on Sundays, every Sunday, when I get to meet people that I know I'm going to be around for the next couple of years,
Yeah.
that's when you really get to start develop relationships, people that I'm going to know for the rest of my life. And that's like with the door to door thing. It's great. Being a lone wolf is fun. Going into people's houses, fighting objections in their house, walking out feeling like a beast, like mic drop. There's no feeling like it. But how long are you going to do that, bro? Like you're going to do like what? You're going to be 33 and you're in your 51st state that you've worked in. You haven't started a family yet because you've lived that entire nomad life. And like that's
tough.
No one wants to do that.
Yeah, it's really tough. Yeah, because I mean, there's less of the. Well, I guess could somebody like what in solar like do people stay in the same city or is it all move around type of deal?
They do.
Yeah.
There are offices that open up long term that are year round offices. The turnover in that is still incredibly high.
Yeah.
The average person's not there for half a year.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people that do it and they make multiple 6-figure incomes year after year after year. It's few and far between though.
Yeah, interesting. I had a question, but I forgot what it was. So day to day, why don't you explain a day to day, like your day to day in solar versus day to day here? Like I guess what I like if I'm in solar right now and I'm going out, the beauty of it is in a 3-month time period, you can go out and make buku money. But like you said, moving around and then, what are you going to do the same thing for 10, 15, 20 years? You got to kind of recruit an organization out of it, but that's really hard to do versus planting your feet somewhere and, I guess building a life around or, you know, around your job slash, making your work part of life too, instead of it like all life and then all work and then all life and then all work?
Mhm.
Has that been hard for you at all? Thinking like, okay, instead of 3 months of grinding, kicking ass, and then taking a bunch of time off, just the endurance, like what's that been like for you?
This question is exactly why I know that like people who come from solar, or people who come from any door-to-door thing that can do that for 3 months are going to love this, because I with us having the office culture here, I mean, I come in and I work 9 to 6. If I don't hit my goals by 6, a lot of days I'll go out to a long lunch. I'll leave early because I've hit all my goals that day. We'll go play golf because we hit our goals at by 2 p.m. Um, but the great thing is I don't feel like I've lost any of the intensity that I had in the summer.
Mhm.
I feel more rewarded by it now because I get to come here, crush my financial goals with my friends in the office.
Mhm.
I then put my phone down when I leave and I don't think about work. And then I go do anything I want to with my life, and
Yeah.
it's compounding. In solar, if you're not doing the year-round office, it's really hard to be in the gym and taking care of your physical shape. I mean, after my summer, I was the fattest I've been in my entire life, like really unhealthy.
Not anymore though, dude. You got that 75 hard.
Right. And I'm surrounded by people that were like, hey, we have this extra time outside of work. Like, we're all driven. What are we going to do with it? We go do 75 hard. I'm down 30 pounds. I know Birch is down something crazy like that. Trace is shredded. Um,
That's awesome.
we get the opportunities to go and explore an incredible city like
Dang, you're down
Nashville.
30.
27, but
Wow.
we'll crush that 30 mark within. I'm losing about 2 pounds a week right now, so
That's wild, bro.
I'll hit that soon.
Congrats, dude. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It's gotta feel
Feels
really
good.
good. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the difference is I didn't lose any of the intensity, but I'm not just only focused on meeting people, developing a relationship for an hour with them, and then leaving and never talking to them again. Now I have that intensity and I'm focused on 10 different things that I want to do that excel my life in all different paths.
Yeah.
I told Logan the other day, like, I'm really now finally have the time to build my life into the life that I've dreamed of, to build my relationships into the relationships that I've dreamed of, and build myself into the person that I have dreamed of. Like, I'm thinking, what does the ideal version of Tyler do? And I'm like just going and accomplishing that because I have the time, the money, and the ability to do that now.
Mhm.
That's why I'm so excited. Like, anyone that I can talk to, I'm like, you like, what are we doing? You got to become doing this. Like, it's like it just out,
Well, yeah.
every box is checked.
Well, I was talking with Trace, and I feel like sometimes people that didn't really feel like recruiting end up turning into a recruiter when they feel like it's a good opportunity. Like when
Mhm.
they're doing really well financially, they feel like they're surrounded by really good people, and it just like word spreads, like wildfire. And I think sometimes insurance does get a bad rap because it is definitely a recruiting business, and sometimes people get set up, or maybe there's people watching that have gotten set up in pretty shitty situations. Like the first direct selling company I was recruited by, I'm not gonna say the name, but it was an insurance company. And like the guy that recruited me, I was 18. I was really interested in insurance, more so just like being successful. And that just seemed like a good avenue. Like insurance works.
Mhm.
And people are like, oh, is it gonna work? It's like, well, no shit, it's gonna work. It's life insurance. Like go look at buildings downtown. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And, so I got really interested in it. I read this book written by the guy that had started the company. It was really cool, like super mission driven, and, people were definitely successful doing it. I just, the guy that recruited me hadn't really done much as far as selling goes. He was just a recruiter,
Mhm.
and, something about that kinda irked me a little bit, where I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, you're recruiting for something that you're not really selling a whole lot?" And I think that does happen quite a bit where people get sold on the dream and the picture of being successful in insurance, but sometimes they look around and they're like, "Wait, but you don't really have a system, or you're not profitable, or, you're blah, blah, blah." So what's been that experience like for you?
I mean, I
Obviously, you don't have the whole lot to compare it to because this would be the first insurance opportunity you've come into, but a lot of people are in like, warm market only insurance and stuff like that, or knocking doors even for insurance, or, business to business and stuff like that, or calling leads that have been talked to by 10, 15 different people, or after you buy it 2 weeks later, they're resold and stuff like that. So what's like, kind of explain our system and like how that's working.
yeah, and I mean, I did that in solar. My second summer out, I had like done pretty well the summer before, and then like came back, made more money than all my friends over the summer, and recruited every single one of my friends to come out for the summer, and like was so not ready for that. Did not have the support from anyone above me, and like didn't have a system in place.
But you had sold.
But I had sold.
Yeah.
Got myself bit off more than I could chew. Team failed, like obviously as it would, and like looking back on that, I can just see that the night and day difference between like, I mean, the way that we have our leads set up, the warm markets that we're targeting, the price point that we have them at, the dialer system that we use. Like I said, I think a trained monkey could come in and like be profitable in this.
As long as they dialed all day.
As long as they dial the whole day. If they work hard. If they have
well, not dialed all day, but dialed when they're supposed to dial. But don't take all day to dial.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And with Southwestern being the family of companies that it is, I could see with life insurance how it's very easy for me to be like, hey, come do this. Like, you'll be good at it. Recruit someone, no system, they fail out.
Yeah.
But I mean, with a 200-year-old company backing us, someone who's already built out an insurance agency before, or insurance company before, has companies for everything, mentors for everything, farming people into people that are leaders that are just being plugged into this industry. I think that we have a gigantic advantage over the Joe who started a life insurance agency. It's work remote in your mom's basement. But like the leads and the way that they're farmed and nurtured are so good that it's the learning curve is very small. When you have a kid that can come in his first week and make 15 grand with like no experience previous, that really just speaks a little bit to the system.
Some people that takes a year, 2 years, a lot of time.
And it could. We haven't had anyone like that yet.
Knock on wood.
But it seems like the learning curve, people are profitable, if not their first, in their second or third month. But I think we also have the fail safe from the people that are helping us develop this company from Southwestern, to where we know that there's no blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to bring someone in to recruit them here until I could teach them how to sell it. And I'm not going to let the people I bring in and recruit other people until they can teach them how to sell it and be successful. That comes from a love of people. You have to love the people that you're going to be recruiting, leading, and nurturing.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's pretty much everywhere though. I was just thinking of that point, just for people that, maybe got into an opportunity where they don't feel like they've been led super well. And it is unfortunate, but at the same time too, it's kind of like I don't know, dude, figure it out. There's other people that have figured it out. So if you have enough drive or purpose to be successful, you'll find somebody that is successful, and then you go follow them. Like, don't let your prior experience with whatever be your excuse as to why, this or something doesn't work. I even think of like solar like that too, a little bit, where it's like, okay, well, maybe you didn't get plugged into the best company, but obviously there's people doing well out there. Somebody with an excuse like that, just, I don't know. I don't really feel like it holds up. Yeah, for sure. I feel like people would probably, me too. People would probably want to know a little bit more about your backstory, because you're an engineer getting into sales. Like, what's that about? Why didn't you just go into engineering? You said you wanted to talk with people and stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people out there in your situation where maybe they got a degree in something in particular, and they feel like they put so much money into something that they feel like they should use it, but maybe it's not what they really ultimately want to do. So what was that like for you?
Well, all roads do lead towards moving to Nashville and selling up. So,
that's true.
So yeah, no matter what turn you make, you might be far from it. Yeah, it's like a magnet. Like if you're going to get far from it, it's going to slingshot you back in.
Exactly.
So I moved around every 3 years as a kid. Just my dad's job. And at the time I hated it. Now I have I'm like super happy that I did. I got to learn how to go to a new place, know no one, meet people, make great friends, love people, get people to love me, and then go do it all over again, which is probably like what I'll attribute towards me having an affinity for sales and sales leadership. With engineering, there was a couple things. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't deserve an electrical engineering degree. Like
ChatGPT got that one.
Not even ChatGPT. Like, yes, a lot of help there, but I passed classes on merit of just like talking to professors, and like professors would give, like, if the University of Nebraska Lincoln is watching this, I did everything I needed and deserved the degree. But like I would just like there's a lot of times where I made friends with professors.
Yeah. Worked the system.
Worked the system. They would
Oh, dude, I know stuff way worse. In other, I know some people from other countries. They literally pay. They pay for their degree.
really.
They find somebody in the higher up, pay them off. Straight A's this year.
I mean, hey, if it works.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I got an essay, dude. Yeah, just toss me $100. It's done.
But I think a lot of, and this is like
I'm not saying you did that, by the way.
right.
You didn't do that.
No, I didn't pay a single dollar.
Yeah.
My dad did. Thanks, Dad. I think a lot of jobs are fake. I think probably like 80% of jobs are like super fake.
That's a hot take.
And it like it might be, but like
Is the Earth is the sky fake?
I've been on a lot of planes. I don't see it ever curve. It's like flat out the window.
Oh, it's because the windows are curved.
Oh, so well, yeah.
No, they've proven it. Yeah. I don't know who they are, but yeah.
They've proven it.
Just recently I was looking at I don't know what I was looking at something.
They just recently proved the Earth was round.
I don't think they proved that yet.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
I don't believe that, so.
But I think a lot of
Believe what you want, man.
jobs.
What do you mean they're you mean like they're just BS corner of the corner? You're just in corporate America, shoved into the farthest corner you can find.
Yeah, like getting paid a salary that like is not livable. Getting like doing things that don't matter. And like over, and I'll put money on it, bro. Like,
Yeah.
with how fast AI is growing,
Yeah.
people are gonna start like
People
there
will
has to
stop
be a correction.
existing after AI.
This is my call. Everyone,
Billy has been terminated from his job. No, from Earth.
but it's really easy to get stuck into that. Like, well, I paid for my degree.
Yeah.
This is a stable job. I gets me beer money on the weekends, and like I enjoy it. And then they stay there. And they're like they're never ready to take the risk, and sometimes you just have to like guide them to it, and hold their hand a little ways in the process. But for me, it was like I'm not incredibly on fire about what my degree is going to get me. It's not going to pay me enough to where I can eventually use that money for a means to an end to build something else.
Yeah.
And I'm in my 20s. Like I could go bankrupt 3 times before I turn 30,
And you will.
yeah, I probably will. All successful people go bankrupt.
A fat lawsuit and a huge bankruptcy, but it's gonna be awesome.
But I mean, like we have the ability to like you could go bankrupt 3 times in your 20s and like start something in your 30s. Again, we have like
Unlimited
tries.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I can go take an electrical engineering job 6 years out of college, maybe 80, 90,000 right out of college after taxes. What if I'm making 110 after taxes? It's 60K. I'm really good at taxes, but it's not enough. And for me, I wanted something where I was going to be super fulfilled. I was going to enjoy life. I was going to like have all these opportunities.
Not having all the stress, man, on that monkey on your back, dude. Yeah, man. It's like the best perspective I ever got on it was, and I think this is 100% fact and true, is what like, okay. I have these phone calls sometimes with these kids that are about to go out for the first summer selling books with Southwestern. Great opportunity. Everybody should do it. And it's always fear, but then you ask them more about their situation and you'd think they'd be making 35 grand that summer, working for their Uncle Billy's posh job that's setting them up for the perfect opportunity or whatever. And most kids are like, well, I'm getting this internship with Morgan Stanley or whatever. It's like, okay, great, whatever. You're going to be running coffee for Billy Bob all summer and not really doing anything, but sure, that looks good on a resume. But some of them that are like working a job, unhappy with the pay, unhappy with the job. Like I talked to this one kid, and who knows what he's doing now, if he's decided that he wants to, sell door to door for the summer or continue with his Amazon delivery job. I was like, so what do you do currently? He's like, well, right now I'm working 12 hours a day. I got to make 300 deliveries a day, working at Amazon, blah, 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 blah. I'm just thinking like, well, what if I fail at Southwestern? This type, what if I'm not good at talking to people? I'm like, dude, okay, let's say you're the worst salesperson in the history of Southwestern, like bar none, the worst. Do you really think Jacob, and I know Jacob, do you really think Jacob will watch you go week after week after week after week losing money all summer? He's like, no, probably not. I'm like, right. And how long do you think it would take him to figure that out? He's like, maybe a couple weeks. I was like, yeah, probably like 1 to 3 weeks to figure out if you're good at this job or not. And the funny thing is it doesn't come down to your like personality and how good you are with people. It really just comes down to seeing people and talking to enough people. You run into buyers, you know? So it comes down to your work ethic, and you deliver 300 packages a day. So you're at 300 doors a day. Do you think you could do 300 doors a day with knocking doors? He's like, I'm like, yeah, well, what if you could do 100, or whatever. So we talk it out. And then I'm like, so at the end of the day, if you go out, you suck balls for, for a week and a half, what's going to happen? He would send me home. Okay. And you'd be doing what? Well, I'd probably go back to work at Amazon.
So what's the opportunity?
So what are we even talking about? Like, why are we even talking right now? Like, make the decision, It's just so frustrating. It's like when you truly do go through, and some people are in legit situations where they have families and they have more at stake. Cool. 90% of the time, that's not the case, And even then they could still go back to that job. You just save up for a little bit and then you try something out and then you fail, whatever, you're back at square zero where you were going to be anyway at the end of the year, It's just so frustrating because it's like at the end of the day, you would just literally end up doing what you're doing now. So your biggest fear, it seems, is staying where you're at.
So change something.
So like, what the hell are we even talking about? Sell life insurance.
You know what's really rewarding though? Getting that person. So like that conversation happens.
Yeah.
Take the risk. 3 months down the road, phone call.
Yeah.
Tyler, thank you for that conversation. Like, I'm so glad that you like convinced me to do this. Like, my life is so much better because of what I just did. And it's like almost angels singing. It's like,
yeah.
Like, I know, dude. Like, I knew that was going to happen.
That is actually the best. So, I mean, hopefully, well, if he's out there, hopefully he took the risk or he's going to take the risk. But I feel like it's the same way here too. I mean, what if it doesn't work out? It's like, okay, well, you took a 2-month vacation, you learned a new skill on the phones, and we'll be seeing you.
Obviously.
But it's like the only reason, and the whole thing too with it is okay. Is talent involved in the job? Sure, of course. Like, but you could be someone that is like, you could have zero talent, not zero, but like, let's say 25% talent, and Billy has 95% talent, and he's been talking to people his whole life and all this stuff. But you show up 9 to 6 every day, and he shows up 9 to 2. You actually take the time that you have and you dial people, and he takes all day to dial, and you'll probably end up beating him eventually, So it always comes down to work ethic, I feel. And then you get rewarded the more work you do, and then the more time that you put into something. And at the end of the day, it's like my biggest fear would be at that job and somebody calls me up and says, yo, dude, we're going on this trip. And let's say it's like a month out. Hey, yo, dude, we're going on this trip a month out, blah, 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 blah. I don't want my excuse to be I don't have the money.
Or the PTO.
Or the PTO. I will never.
Or like another man won't let me come on that trip, dude.
I'm sorry, Daddy isn't going to let me come on the trip. It's like
Goggins talks about in his book, like, and he's like transferred this fear to me.
And again, not saying like, whatever, everybody living their own life, but I will never. Well, we can put the pool in if I get my bonus this at the end of the quarter, honey. I would like literally rather put a bullet in my head.
Well, we can probably afford St. Petersburg if my bonus comes through
in 2029.
But we might just have to end up driving to the lake again for a summer if we don't get it.
You mean the pond out back there? You suck. What were you saying before that?
Yeah, Goggins, he talks about it's honestly like an exaggerated version of this. But in his book, he's like, my biggest fear.
Oh yeah, I know.
Just like,
hell yeah.
Let's say I get to the gates of heaven.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, this is David Goggins. And they're like, David Goggins conquered ultra marathons. He won ultra marathons. He conquered the hardest races in America, the hardest swimming in America. David Goggins was a public speaker that motivated thousands of people to achieve their goals and their dreams. David Goggins was monetarily so successful that he could further the word of the Lord and donate his money to the less fortunate to achieve their goals. And he like goes on for a little bit longer, but he's basically just like, here's all of these accolades that David Goggins approved or accomplished. That's what you could have been. here's really what your life was like. And it's like David Goggins was 300 pounds. David Goggins crushed 300 bags of potato chips. David Goggins lost his life to infidelity. Like
Yeah, dude.
there will be a day, like whether you'll believe it or not, I promise you there will be.
The reckoning is coming.
Exactly. And the worst possible thing that can happen is God's like, here is what, like, my son, this is what I built you for. This is the potential that you had to accomplish, and you didn't even get close. Like, you're standing at the gates of heaven. Like, there is no worse thing that can happen there.
Yeah.
And to tie that in, Logan, Log Dog, he says that you can do two things in life, job-wise. You can start a company that gainfully employs other people, or you can be gainfully employed for someone else. That can grow. You can work your way up the corporate ladder. A lot of people do. They're in their 40s with a cushy corporate ladder job. I think like a lot of those jobs are going to go away in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a ton of driven people that are currently in that corporate job, to tie this whole thing back together. Currently in that corporate job, they're going to the gym, they're reading, they're really working on themselves, they have a burning desire to be great. But there's no avenue to do that at where they're at, and they're capped where they're at. And either they know exactly what's going on in this office and they're too scared to take that risk, or they have no idea that what is happening here is possible. And there's a lot of people that work these jobs that like should work those jobs. People need to underwrite the policies that we sell. Like, it's got to happen. It's essential. But there are a lot of people that have a burning passion and the ability to be way more successful than where their feet are at. And one of my fears that I've picked up kind of recently is like, what if I get to heaven and God's like, Tyler, you were in a position to where you could lead all of these people to this amazing opportunity that you were blessed with. It doesn't have to be here. It might be somewhere else, but like you have the ability to change someone's life and bringing them into this business, loving them, nurturing them, and being there for them, being a steward of man, to where when they get to those gates, they've accomplished everything that possibly has been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good.
You are like one text, phone call, cold outreach away from like leading that person to, and it could, like, the catalyst really could be me or you, Roy. And like, that's like one of my things I'm so driven about right now is how great this is. Like, who am I to not try and help this, like, other people reach those goals that they have.
Yeah, that's solid, dude. That's a banger. Yeah, I mean, when you put things through that lens, that gives you a totally different level of drive. That's for sure.
Life's super fast, so it's really easy to look at things on like a micro lens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of scary when you take a step back and look at things on a macro lens. But I mean, like, life's short.
Yep.
Gonna come to an end at some point.
Yeah, that's for sure. That and taxes, April 15th, baby. Yeah, that's for sure, man. I mean, even just the past year, it seems like boom. And again, and some of the days are slow, but it's like when you zoom out, you're like, wow, that went by really, really effing quick.
So for you, talk about a little bit, because I honestly am curious to hear like what you have to say. Like, the job's great, money's great. We can beat that into a horse. I can post my numbers on Instagram as many times as I want.
Yeah.
For you, take the other thing, take that away. Why do you love your life right now? Why do you love where you're at? Why do you love the things that we get to do?
Purpose. That's the biggest one. Purpose. Every man needs a purpose, you know. Nobody's above purpose. And you see a lot of people, like you were talking about, like the guy that's trying to find that thing that he's really good at. And I talked about this a little bit at the convention, but I don't think it's so much, and don't get me wrong, I am a firm believer like the opportunity that we're in is, I mean, I just really haven't heard of anything better yet. Like how many avenues we can take with this thing. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure somebody could educate me on something better, but I don't give a shit. This is the one I picked.
Right.
And that purpose is huge, because I don't want to be the guy that goes from this to that thing, tries that thing out. I don't like him, move. Didn't like this. That part was hard over here. You know, and just constantly live the same year over and over, or the same 2 years over and over and over again. And then bitch about the job, bitch about the company, wife's unhappy, you don't make enough money, kids don't respect you. I do better with negative emotions, but I also need a purpose. Like, making money's great and it takes the pressure off, and that's been awesome. And I don't want that to go away, but if it does and it's God's will, okay, great. But what I never want to lose is the purpose of waking up every day knowing exactly what I have to do. And some days I do better at it than others, but I know every single day exactly what I'm going to do. And I know for the next, I mean, there's no limit to the amount of time that I would spend doing this. I don't have an exit plan. Maybe one day I'll have an exit plan. Like I want to sell blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But, waking up with that purpose, because there's been plenty of times in my life where it's like, and most of it, once you hit your teenage years, at least this was my experience. What's the number one question you get?
What are you gonna do with your life?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? And then you go to college and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to be an electrical engineer.
Brad stuff.
Okay, well, what about after that? Nothing comes after that.
I don't know. So life insurance.
I probably sell life insurance. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, but it's like a lot of people just don't have a purpose, don't have a drive, because they weren't. Well, it's on them, just like it's on us. But there's always like, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? That question is still always going to be there, just on a smaller scale. Like, oh, what are we going to do next? Like, what's the next move? Or making that phone call, sending that guy that text, having that recruiting meeting or whatever. But there's a goal and there's a vision. And it's like, we know where we're headed,
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people lack that. Just in all reality, you ask most people, well, what's like your dream? Like, what do you want? And most people aren't able to answer you. Or if they do, they came up with that on the spot,
Mhm.
And there's been plenty of times where I had to come up with something on the spot just because I felt embarrassed that I didn't know what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
Or there's been times where it's like, okay, well, I might stay here for a little bit, or I might go over here, I might move over there. It's like, I know I will be planted in Nashville for 5 years. I know I'll be doing this until they fire me, or you're gonna have to fire my ass and drag me out of the building in order for me to stop doing what I'm doing, or terminate me or whatever, which I don't think would happen, but who knows? No, it's not gonna happen. But like that for me is huge. And like that Goggins, I read that book my second summer selling books door to door, and that image was a huge motivator for me for my second, third, fourth, and fifth, and even still now, which it's like, will you ever live up to it, to that potential? You can keep chasing the freaking excellence and the dragon and stuff, which you've been doing with 75 hard, which is awesome. But
Well, there's like either you keep chasing it or you don't.
mhm.
And like, what do you want to do? It's like either you get
Stay in
the
here.
couch
Yeah,
or you go
you're
that.
growing or you're dying. And I've never been like, well, I'm a prideful person. I love recognition. I love making money. I love all these things. But I've never been like a big car guy, or like, I want that shirt, or I want those shoes, or I want this, whatever. I don't know why, but I've never been, maybe because I've got a lot of siblings and I guess I never really saw it.
Mhm.
But I never really had like a lack growing up. So I never was like the kid when I was growing up, like, man, one day when I'm rich, I'm gonna have this, this, and this. It's like, I never really had those. I mean, I had the thought, like, my biggest thing was, and I hate to see it, and I hate to say this now, but my biggest pet peeve, just because I was in this situation and got out of it when I was in high school, right after high school, was making decisions based off of someone else's money, mainly your parents, and that was my biggest driving force, like being the youngest kid, was I'd never wanted my parents to worry about me, or worry about, um, or be able to dictate my decisions, because I'm sucking off the teat, basically.
Mhm.
It's like the faster I can get off of that, the better. Even if it's scary, or you're not gonna be saving as much money on their phone plan, or you're not gonna be saving as money on their car insurance or whatever. It's like, if you get off of it, you'll figure out a way to pay for it, and stuff like that. But I guess with this job, I mean, you can build all the things that you want outside of, um, you can have that purpose, you can have the community with the people that you're working with, and actually enjoy the people you're working with. Because most of the people, I would say everybody in the office, has a high level of drive to want to be successful.
Well,
Where
we don't want you if you don't have that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, because you go to most companies, and I've worked at, not a lot, but a couple, and especially when I was growing up, like at a security company, and my dad's company and stuff, and like, you just see people that just bitch, moan, and complain. And the best thing about top producing salespeople is those are like the three things that they typically don't do.
Mhm.
which is the same thing. Bitch, moan, complain with no solutions and everything just. And if they are like that, they will weed themselves out eventually and they'll go into something else. Nothing wrong with it, but it's like, I love that we work with a group of people, and people in sales, the ones that are good at it, are usually the ones that are driven outside of work. You don't have to poke them with a stick. You can help navigate them through their goals and like help them with navigating their goals. But most of the time they come in with goals. They're like, I want X, Y, and Z to happen in the next year. And sometimes it's not and it almost seems like most of the time, the ones that are the most successful, and this isn't everybody. Like I wouldn't say it was my situation, but they're effing broke. They're in a shit situation. They just broke up with their girlfriend, or they're in a toxic relationship, or, or broke, or both, or whatever, usually both. And, with the right leadership I wouldn't even say the right systems. I would just say with the right leadership and a guy to guide you through it, you can accomplish more than you'd ever dream. And then it's like, it's less about the nice cars, the big ass house on property, the compound that we all probably want. I know you want for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
It's less about that, but it's more about like the guy, when you really think about it. Like, I know we all have selfish intentions, selfish motives, but it's like, who does that guy have to become in order for him to hit those goals? Like, if we're all playing this character in this game, this is a video game, it's like, what accessories does he have to pick up? What skills and stuff? And it's like, the beauty of sales and leadership is you're never where you want to be. And there's always something to work on. And like that purpose is huge.
Yeah, very similar to what you're saying. Like, only like personal experience here. Last week, it's Thursday. My best friend from Boston calls me and he's like, dude, I got Friday off. Like, we're not working Friday or Saturday. Do you want to come to Boston? Like, in no other life that I live can I just be like, oh, how much are flights? Oh, cheap enough. Book a flight 20 hours in advance, get on the flight. Don't ask anyone for PTO. Know that I can afford it. Go have a great weekend with my buddy. Come back.
Did you go to Boston?
Mm-hmm.
No shit.
Yeah, no. It was great. Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah, and I was in Denver.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And it's like that. For me, I have to live a life where I have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people do, but they don't take that jump to do it. So if you do, DM me. But it's a beautiful thing to be able to just like have that, be the person.
Instagram handle here.
Yeah. Luke, if you can put that in there for me.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to have that life. And it's something I'm so thankful for. Another thing that I'm really excited about that we get to do here, along with travel. I think I love to travel. Maybe other people don't, but like it's like one of my things that gets me going. And let's just say you don't do any of your own personal travel. You just come here and you hit the metrics that are made like pretty easy to get. This year you would go to Dallas for a weekend. You would go to Keeneland for a weekend, which for people who don't know is it's the minors to what?
It's basically the minors to the Kentucky Derby.
Right. Yeah. Get a weekend to go do that. You would get to go to Cancun.
Yeah.
You would get to go, spoiler alert, on a winery tour, a weekend winery tour. There's another international trip that hasn't been dropped yet. There is a cruise that hasn't been dropped yet. There's lock-ins that where we're going to go to Utah for a week, lock in and all like do the things that are hard and also sell and make money while we're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm probably forgetting a couple. Go to Gatlinburg for the end of year thing that we just got to do. I mean, I'm at 11 vacations that you get to do paid for by work for hitting goals that are like honestly everyone in here should hit, like will continuously hit. So like to wrap that up too, the lifestyle where you get to experience new things when we're talking about why it's good to plant your feet with people and develop relationships, great way to do that is go experience a cool part of life with people that you love.
Oh yeah.
And that's just doing the bare minimum, what work's going to pay for, and doesn't include all the other trips that all of us are planning together where we're going skiing, going to Jacksonville, going to wherever we want to go, Tampa. Like to be able to provide that and do that and experience that with guys like you, Trace, Austin, all of our great friends.
It's awesome.
Something you got to be super thankful for.
It's awesome. And then you zoom out and then you take that out 5 years, and it's like, man, the life we'll be living in 5 years is dramatically different than this. I mean, we're probably going to be in a building downtown with a big old sky view
Come on now.
or a skyline view, you know, and
Bruce will probably have a chip in his head.
yeah. And offices and shit everywhere, you know. That's the dream. So what would be a good way to wrap this up, Tyler? I would say, I guess, 2 things. You know, we've been talking a lot about solar and life insurance. What would you give advice for the guy that's on the fence about, I mean, we've been talking about all this stuff, but on the fence about, like, you know, DMing you
Mhm.
or like reaching out to you?
First, if you're gearing up to go for a summer this summer, don't DM me. I don't want you to come here first. I want you to like focus on your summer, go kill it. That's exactly what I did with Logan. There's no reason to second guess. I don't want the lukewarm. I want someone who like is driven and committed. So DM me after the summer. We'll have a great conversation. And you'll thank me for waiting on that.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a person, and there is a person out there that's, and I don't want anyone. I'm not here just like fishing out here. This isn't like a, hey, I want to recruit everyone. You can come work for me. It makes me so rich. Like I'm not looking for that. But I know a lot of guys will be watching this and they like what they do. They're not too happy. They know that there's more to life. And after listening, seeing our Instagram, seeing the things that we get to accomplish, you're a little
It's all Life Pros.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram at Life Pros. If you're a little bit curious, you're the type of guy that likes to have a good time and is also feels like they're a hard worker, determined, and wants to. You don't even have to be ready to make a giant life change, but like wants to hear about it, and thinks that what we've talked about today is a little bit appetizing. I'd love to have a conversation. It's something where I'm not looking to get anyone. I am pretty picky, honestly. Like for the past 2 months, haven't even brought anyone else in because of like where we're at in the business. But for that guy, I mean, shoot me a DM on Instagram. It's at TVLERWXLF. Love to have a conversation. We're doing something life-changing here. And I'm looking for new people to love and get to love me and build with together.
Expansion. The only way is well, this is great, dude.
Yeah, thanks for the time. This was sick.
Banger. We'll be on again soon. Hopefully in a bigger conference room next time.
Yeah, something that's not
Bigger and better, baby. Hopefully the audio actually worked on this one.
They say third time's a charm.
Yeah, send a prayer. Sweet. Well, you've just witnessed the 5th episode of the 20-something Sales Podcast with Tyler Wolf and Roy Clancy.
Stay hard.
Stay creepy, Nashville.